I am back! Yeah, we're back with this one. So it's been a while since I've actually sat down and made new videos and created content, and 8 months ago I had this little guy and life definitely changed a lot. It's been quite the challenge actually getting in the right headspace to create content. But I'm doing it, I'm creating it, and so many of you have been asking me about what it's like to build a business while having a baby. And so I'm going to be making a series of videos for you going right from the decision to have a baby, and then how I actually got ready for the baby to arrive, what it was like when he arrived, and then what it's like now with going back and working and my routine with him. So I've got so much goodness to share with you, I can't wait to dive in. Okay, so I know so many women out there are building businesses and are also wanting to have children, and they're like, how on earth am I going to build a business and actually have a child at the same time? This was definitely the dilemma that I had before I had Kasey, because I worked like a maniac. I worked all the time, like so many hours in the day, and I loved what I was doing. I was so passionate about it, and I just thought, like, if I have a baby, how am I going to be able to keep doing this? I'm not. And so that is the reality. Like, before you have a baby, you can't anticipate, all right, noisy. You can't anticipate what it's going to be like, how your life is going to change, but you can prepare yourself a bit for what's to come. So I have got some tips to share with you on how you can help prepare yourself if you have a business right now and you're thinking about also starting a family. So before we get into the tips I have to share with you, I want to say, obviously, Kasey is only 8 months old. I am by no means any kind of expert at this, having a baby or anything whatsoever, but I just wanted to share my own experiences with you, or what it's been like for me and the things that have helped me the most. So getting started with actually planning to have a baby, the first things that really helped me, and some of the advice that I was given, was actually stop a second to think about what you want your life to be like once the baby has arrived. Like, how much time do you actually want to take off with the baby at the beginning? So for me, I knew that I wanted to have at least 2+ months just focused with him, just being with him every day and getting used to being a new mum. And I gave myself permission to carve out that time for myself. So think about how much time you would love to take off when your baby arrives, and what you want your life to look like and be like when it arrives. And then you can actually start preparing so that you can make that your reality. Once you know how much time you want to take off, whether it's a few months, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year, then you can focus on figuring out how you're going to make that your reality. So what do you need to do in order to make that happen? So there's a few different things I would suggest considering when you're actually planning out how you're going to make it your reality. So the first thing when actually thinking about this is how are you going to plan ahead, in the sense of, if you create content, for example, could you batch create more content to cover you while you were going to be away? What could you do now so that you are in a really good position for when the baby arrives to be able to take that time off? The second thing to think about is, like, what help do you actually need to make this your reality? Do you have an existing team, or do you actually need to go and create a team, or even find just one other person who would be able to help you when you take time off to make sure your business is taken care of and that everything is running okay? So what do you need to do in terms of team? And it could also be, like, for example, if you are a graphic designer and the work that you do is on you, so you're the person that's actually providing the service and creating the work. Obviously, when you have a baby, you want to take time off, and that isn't going to be very realistic. Should we get you out of the shot? And so it's just kind of like being creative with this and thinking about how you could make it work. So for example, could you, or would you be interested in making, say, a digital product or service that you could sell, so that you don't have to physically be actually doing the work when the baby arrives? So if you're a graphic designer, maybe you could create a graphics pack, some templates that people could use and that people could go and buy them on your website. And in advance, maybe you could start looking at Pinterest and how you can create pins so that it continues to sell your digital products while the baby arrives, so you've still got revenue coming in even though the baby's arrived and you've taken time off. And just thinking of, like, different ways you can do things, or even, for example, collaborating with other people. Like, could you collaborate with somebody else so you're then still driving traffic and selling a service, but somebody else is actually fulfilling the work for you. So yeah, like I said, just being creative and thinking of ways that you can actually do things and plan so that you can make it work and you can take that time off and it's not stressful and you're not worried about everything and you can just enjoy that time. Which kind of leads me on to my final point, which is just to enjoy it, like enjoy the whole process. I mean, people used to say it to me all the time, and I feel like sometimes you just need a good reminder of the fact that like it's such a special time in your life when you decided to have a baby and you're going through the whole pregnancy, and you know, it only happens maybe once or a few times in your life. And so it's just kind of enjoying it and making the most of it and not being super stressed out about work. And I think the more you plan out in advance, the more you plan out in advance for it, the easier it will be for you to enjoy it, all and just kind of like, yeah, go with the flow. So those are just some things to consider if you're thinking like you might want to have a baby and you're currently running a business. Just know that it's doable, you can make it happen, and you'll still be able to build a wildly successful business even when the baby arrives. So don't worry about that. So yes, hope these tips have helped you. In the next video, I'm going to be sharing all about what happens when the baby actually arrives and talking about my experience of the change that actually happened for me. So I will see you then.